Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ubaid Rahman and I am a student of APS Pass 1. So today's topic of discussion is basically osmosis, also known as the movement of solvent or the water from a region of high concentration to a region of low concentration. Alright, so in this, first of all, we are going to study the basics of the osmosis. That what is osmosis and its definition, and how does it works. So if we talk about the osmosis, so basically the osmosis is a special type of this is a special type or a special case of diffusion. In our previous video, I've told you about the diffusion and how does it works, and there are some of the examples of them. So basically, osmosis is a special type of the diffusion that basically involves the only movement of water molecules only. It basically restricts the movement, the diffusion, to only the water molecules. Alright, so if we talk about the actual definition of the osmosis that we're going to write in our paper, so it is: osmosis is the net movement of water molecules from a region of high water concentration to a region of low water concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. So it basically means the movement of water molecules from a region where the water is high in the amount to the region where the water is lower in the amount. Alright, so if we talk about the water, what is the water concentration? So basically, water concentration is the amount or the percentage of the quantity of the water in any solution. It is the quantity of the solvent in any solution as compared to the solute in that solution. Alright, so now if we see the diagram, that how does the osmosis actually work. So in this we can see that on the left side we can see basically that these small dots, these small blue dots basically represents the water molecules, and it shows that the water is on the high concentration in the left side, as compared on the right side there's sucrose, basically sucrose molecule, which is sugar, and it is large in and it is not allowed to move through the membrane, and it is and the water molecules are attached with it. So if we see this, so we can see that as the water molecules are more concentrated on the left side, so more water molecules will move from the left side towards the right side, and less water molecules will move from the right side towards the left side. These the red arrows basically is indicating this thing that I've indicated with the two arrows, which shows that there is more movement of water molecules, and the one smaller arrow shows that there is less movement of water molecules. Alright, so in this basically we studied about the osmosis, that it is basically a special type or a case of diffusion, and it restricts only to the movement of water only. And we also talked about the definition of the osmosis, that the osmosis is the movement of the water molecule from a region of high water concentration to a region of low water concentration through a semi-permeable or partially permeable membrane. And we also talked about this practical diagram that shows that how basically the osmosis works. This was basically one of the most simplest yet an effective definition that I got. And these basically the shaded blocks basically, and the gap between them shows the semi-permeable membrane of an animal cell. Alright, so now we're gonna basically complete the topic of the water potential. That basically, what is the water potential? It is one of a tricky topic that some students are facing difficulty in completing. So I'm gonna try my best. So basically, what is water potential? So if we talk about the water potential, so water potential, it is a term used to describe that how freely the water molecules in a solution can move. It is a term that basically tells us that how free are the water molecules in a solution are to move, are to do the process of osmosis. So if we basically talk about the definition of the water potential is basically, it is the potential energy that is stored in the water molecules that allows them to move from one place to another, and it is one of the most important things that is needed for the osmosis, as the osmosis is the movement of water particles basically. So On basis of this, we can also say that the definition of osmosis can also be that the osmosis is the movement of water from a region of high water concentration or the water potential to a region of low water potential. Osmosis is the movement of water from a region of high water potential to a region of low water potential. So this is also another definition of the osmosis. Alright, so if we talk about the relation between the water concentration and also about the concentration of the solution and the water potential, so the water concentration is directly proportional to the potential. That means that if the amount of water is more, then there will be more water particles and there will be more potential energy, so the water potential will also be increased. It is a thing of a common sense. And if the concentration of a solution means if a solution is more concentrated, then the water potential will be low. More concentrated means that the solvent or the water will be in less amount as compared to the solute in that. So if the solute will be more, then there will be less water molecules, and if there will be less water molecules, so there will be less energy stored in them, so the water potential will also be low. So in the water potential, we basically studied that it is a term used to describe that how freely the water molecules in a solution can move. And about the definition, we studied that it is basically the energy which is stored in the water molecules that allows them to move. And then we studied about the relation between the concentration of the solution and the water potential. And after that, we studied the definition of the osmosis based on the water potential. That osmosis is the movement of water from a region of high water potential to a region of low water potential. So this was basically about the water potential. Alright, so now we're going to study the example of the osmosis, or that how the osmosis takes place in the animal cells. So before studying this, we need to know about these three basic terms: hypertonic, hypotonic, and isotonic, about the solution. So if we talk about a hypertonic solution, so it basically means that a solution is more concentrated, that there is less water potential in the solution and there is more solute. Hypertonic solution, don't confuse yourself between the hypertonic and the hypotonic. So the hypotonic, P-O-T-O, hypotonic. So the hypotonic means a solution that is less concentrated. That means a solution that is having more amount of solvent or the water in them as compared to the solute. And the isotonic solution means a solution that is having the exactly or the nearly the same amount of the water potential as compared to the animal cell that we're talking about, or it can also be referred to the plant cell. Alright, so in the animal cell, we will take the example of the red blood cells. So basically in this, we need to know that the animal cells have cell membrane. We have studied in the structure of the animal cell that all the basic animal cells have partially permeable cell membrane. The red blood cells, which is also an animal cell, have a water potential of 0.8% salt content. Like it have 0.8% salt content in them. So if they are placed in a solution which is isotonic to them, that means which have 0.85% or near to them of the salt content, then there will be no movement of water in or out of the cell, and the red blood cell will maintain their shape. But if they are placed in a solution that have a different water potential, then the osmosis will take place and the water will either move into the cell or either move out of the cell. And in these both cases, what is gonna happen, it's really interesting, and that's what we're gonna study. If they are placed if they are placed in a solution which is less concentrated as compared to them. Less concentrated means that which have more water molecules as compared to them. So what will happen? Which are less concentrated, which means that there are more water. So then the water molecules will move into the cell and the cell will burst. So it's a really interesting thing that how the human mechanism works. So if the red blood cells are placed in a solution that is less concentrated means that have more water molecule in them. In these basically nodes, in these notes I am representing less concentration as the less water concentration. But if we talk about generally less concentration, so that means that how concentrated the solute is. So to make it easy, if it is placed in a solution that is having more water molecules, then the water molecules will move into the cell and the cell would burst, as they are not having a cell wall that could maintain their shape and that could protect them. The second thing is even more interesting. If they are placed in a more concentrated solution, more concentrated means which is having more concentrated basically it means a solution that is having less water content, but over here I am representing more concentrated as more concentration of water. So if we will place them in a solution which is having more water molecule, then the water will move outside of them and they will basically shrink and they will be cremated. This was a very interesting thing. So now I'm showing the diagram about how it works. So the first one tells us about if they're placed in a hypertonic solution. Hypertonic solution, which is hypertonic means which is less concentrated, like that contains less amount of water in them, like it is telling about the water concentration. So then the water will move outside of the cell and the cell will be cremated. Like we can say it's like, what do you say, snacks? Yeah, it's like a crispy snacks, yummy. And the second one is telling us about the isotonic solution, that which is having the same amount of water concentration, so there will be no movement and it will maintain its shape just like a beautiful disc. And if we talk about the hypertonic solution, so in the hypertonic solution, if it is having a more water concentration, so then the water will move into them and the cell would burst. The cell would burst and it will be no longer of use. Alright, so this was all about the animal cells. So next we're going to study about the osmosis in plant cell. That how does the osmosis in plant cell works. It is one of the most, like we can say, a very creative topic. So if we talk about the osmosis in the plant cell, so the plant cells are basically, we have studied in their structure that the plant cells have cellulose, cell wall. So the cellulose cell wall allows them to maintain their shape and gives them support and protection. So they have cellulose cell wall, so they can maintain their shape in different solution, in different water potential. As a result of this support which is provided to them by the cell wall, if these plant cells are placed in solution which are having different water potential, so they will not burst, they would maintain their shape, so in this it's a really interesting that how they would react if they are placed in different solution. So that's a simple thing, that if they are placed in a isotonic solution, so nothing will happen to their shape. But if they are placed in a hypotonic solution means that is having more water concentration, then the water will move inside them, then the water will move inside to the cells and the cell will become turgid. Turgid means that we have studied about the turgor pressure, that when the sap will become inflated and filled with the water, it will basically apply a pressure on the walls of the cell wall and the cell would inflate. So it will become like a fatty person, like a really healthy fatty boy. It will become basically turgid but would not blast. And the second thing is even more basically interesting. So if the plant cell is placed in a hypertonic solution means a solution which is having less water concentration, then the plant will lose its water content. Then the water by the process of osmosis will move outside of the plant cell and then the cell will shrink. Initially we say it as the cell is flaccid. I have underlined this word, flaccid. So initially we say that the cell is flaccid. It is basically in initial stages when the cell is losing its water content, it just basically shrinks a bit and we say it's flaccid. And if it stays in the solution for a very long time, then it will become plasmolized. Plasmolized basically means that it will shrink to very extent that its cell membrane will be separated from its cell wall, and the solution in which we have placed them, it will take the bit in between place. So now I'm gonna share a really interesting diagram that will basically make it easy to understand this concept. All right, so here we go. This is the definition. This is basically the diagram that shows us the picture. So in the first image, we are told about the isotonic, that the plant cells, if they are placed in an isotonic solution, then they will become that they will be normal cells, as there will be no movement of water. In the second one, if they are placed in a hypotonic solution, POTO, hypotonic solution, which means a solution having more water concentration, so then the water will move into these cells and the cell will become turgid. The cell will inflate like a fatty. And the third one shows us about the hypertonic solution, PER, hypertonic, which is having less water concentration. So in that case, the water will move outside of the cell and the cell will shrink. This is basically showing a plasmolyzed cell, that how you see this is this purple this purple, basically the shades inside indicates the solution. The solution move inside it, and basically the sap vacuole and the nucleus we can see inside, and around it, it's the cell membrane, which is now separated from the cell wall. So all right, that's all for today. Today we studied a very and discussed a very interesting topic about the osmosis, and I hope that you understood all that we discussed today. And you can ask anything if there is any problem in the comment, and I would be there, and I would not take much time, and I would be there to instantly reply you. And if you liked my video, so please like my video and subscribe to my channel to get more of such interesting topics, videos on them, as I will be now constantly and daily uploading videos on biology nowadays, and then we'll also go to the other topics. So thank you. That was for today, guys. Allah Hafiz.